Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried, and this is Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal podcast with my co-host Frank Santopadre. We're once again recording at Nutmeg with our engineer Frank Verderosa. Our guest this week is back for a return engagement on this podcast, and we couldn't be happier about it. He's an actor, writer, TV and radio host, New York Times best-selling author, and one of the most admired and influential stand-up comedians of the last 5 decades. You've seen him in hit movies like Fame, Scarface, The Groove Tube, Night Shift,
Yes,
Mad Dog and Glory,
Hope,
The Wrong Guys, a Very Brady sequel,
Heyo.
Man
You're
on the
embarrassing me.
Moon, and
Wow.
The Comedian.
Oh,
So why doesn't anybody know you?
Yes. He's also
a
done
mystery.
notable work in dozens of TV shows, including Moonlighting, Miami Vice, Mad About You, Lois and Clark, The X-Files, South Park,
Gilbert, I
Arrested
gotta have to shave again.
I lost the suit size waiting for
Rock, and The Wire.
Ah.
And, of course, Homicide, Life on the Street, and Law and Order, playing one of the most enduring characters in television history, Detective John Munch. A character that would go on to appear in at least 10 different series.
Yeah.
You want more? Fine. He's also the author of several New York Times bestsellers, including UFOs, JFK, and Elvis. I Am Not a Cop.
Dead wrong.
I Am Not a Psychic.
Dead wrong.
Dead Wrong.
The hit list.
Hit List.
And
Someone is Hiding Something.
corporate conspiracies.
And the soon-to-be-published Conversations, I was waiting for you to say it.
With Jerry Lewis.
Conversations with Jerry about his longtime friendship with the late, great Jerry Lewis.
Oh.
But as impressive as those accomplishments
I'm
are,
also a surgeon.
he'll forever be known and beloved to audiences as one half of the iconic ventriloquism act,
That's
Dick
right.
and Stinky.
That's right.
Fuck you, you Jew!
Oh, Stinky, we're on the air now. You can't. Oh, come on, Stinky.
Too bad Hitler didn't finish the job.
Oh, Stinky,
no.
come on. I told
That's
you about
terrible.
that. What's wrong with
That's
you?
terrible.
You know, I try to take Stinky everywhere. but
Yeah.
he just
Your lips
can't.
don't move at all, though.
You
No,
guy.
they don't. They don't.
His lips move.
Please
Stinky.
welcome back to the show
Yes.
my fellow survivor of Thick of the Night,
Yes.
Yeah.
the legendary Bells himself, our pal Richard Belzer.
Oh, hey,
I thought that would
Show's
never
over
end.
now, right?
Hey,
That's
no.
it. That it?
That's it.
That was
Just
it.
kidding. No.
My bris was shorter.
Yeah.
No.
Ouch.
Well, from many ways, but
Yeah. Hey, Gil,
Yes,
do you remember when we first met?
I'm going to say Catch a Rising Star.
Do you know how old you were when I met you?
What?
How old you were when we first met?
Oh, God. I was
19.
Yeah?
Yep.
I thought I was even younger.
No, 19, and you came in, and Rick Newman said, hey, this guy's good. He does impressions.
Yeah.
So you went up and you did like
James Mason,
James
Boris
Mason,
Karloff.
Boris Karloff, Curly doing Beethoven.
Yeah. Humphrey
And the shit has
Bogart.
not changed. And that was what, 70?
Yes.
Same act.
and the clothes haven't changed.
Ah,
That's the
gotcha.
worst part.
Clothes, the act. I
I'm
mean,
working on my Robert Mitchum imitation.
Are you really?
Should we introduce the other two gentlemen in the room?
Oh,
Gil?
I don't think that's
guess
necessary.
The other two
Fuck 'em.
who have been annoying during my introduction.
Yes.
The most important part of this show
Right.
is, of course, the legendary band leader of the David Letterman Show, as well as a million other credits, and that's Paul
Thanks
Shaffer.
so much. Fun to be here.
Yay, Paul, how are
Just
you?
taking up space. That's all I'm doing.
How's the
Taking-
wine? Good?
Just taking the wine is lovely.
Good.
And now a man who needs an introduction.
And no, a man who needs
A big introduction.
absolutely No introduction.
Well,
Tom
maybe
Leopold.
Tom
Thank you.
Leopold, a man
Tom.
responsible
My
for so
credits-
much.
Seinfeld.
So much of the
Seinfeld.
My
writing.
credits are
Will and Grace.
yeah.
So
My
much
credits
of-
are on.
responsible for so much of the writing.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you, Paulie.
Some of the great comedy.
My
writing.
credits can be found
Yes.
in the National Archives.
They can.
You are like the Harry Crane, our Harry Crane.
Hey,
Are
that's
Harry.
quite a
Well, that's
compliment.
quite a
special
compliment.
man.
You
Thank
did
you.
that show about the bar, Cheers. You
Yes.
did the show with Seinfeld, right? You were
Called
one of the
Seinfeld?
writers.
Harry
Yes.
Crane, Harry Crane.
Harry Crane.
Tell the folks who Harry Crane is, Tom.
Harry Crane was. I came in just at the generation two, just missing the Harry Crane days, and the salad days,
Yeah.
and the
Harry-
halcyon days.
Was Harry Crane
and the happy days.
around when you first started?
He might have been, but probably pretty much retired.
But why is
Bill
he
Persky
afraid-
and all those guys knew
Right.
him very well and said he was the funniest guy, but he was the meanest guy in the world.
Meanest.
Meanest to the other writers, would always take credit, but hilarious. And everybody, you've heard of Harry Crane, right?
Oh yeah,
The
Paul
cla-
Persky told us some Harry Crane
And
stories.
you know what? Who's his niece was
Melissa Gilbert.
Melissa Gilbert.
I think she.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't make
Or
too much
granddaughter.
sense.
No.
Granddaughter and niece.
Yeah. That's
That's yeah. So I've worked with all those, but he was considered. Oh, Harry Crane said this and all that. But I don't really know much more about him.
Well,
though,
what
Bells.
did he write? What
A
was
Bridge
he
for
on?
Jimmy, about a boy who had his own suspension bridge.
tell.
He
Which was
wrote
nominated-
Happy for 12 Minutes,
Right?
where a guy gets a check and he's happy for the 12 minutes
Happy
it takes
for 12
to
minutes.
go down to the bank and
happy
find
for-
out that it was just a big gag.
Oh,
You
no.
know,
Did anybody else here meet Harry Crane or just you?
I never met him.
Oh, you never met him?
I don't know why I'm the expert on Harry
Yeah.
Crane.
You ever work with Pat McCormick?
No.
Okay.
Does that
Was he on the show?
disqualify me for something?
No.
No,
Pat,
we
is
missed
he
Pat.
around?
We missed
No.
Pat.
Oh, he would have been great to
No,
have
Pat
on.
died.
Yeah.
Who else is dead?
Right, who else?
Everybody's dead, Gil.
Yeah.
You're not looking that good.
You remember the first time you guys did Dick and Stinky? How did that happen?
Oh, wow.
I think it just kind of started when we'd be
right.
like at thick of the night. We just started joking around.
Yeah.
We'd be hanging out in a car or something.
and the dressing room. But then we did it at the comedy, what was that?
Comedy Relief.
Comic Relief. We made our stage debut,
Doing that material?
Dick and Stinky.
Wow.
And we
Great.
killed. Right?
Yeah.
Right, Stinky?
And-
you remember that?
Hey, why don't you blow me?
Oh, Stinky. Yeah, last time I got a
Stinky.
sliver in my lip. Now, come on. I told you, no dirt. We're on the air. Where have you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Stinky. Where have you been, Stinky? I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, I figured.
Stinky, where have you been?
Yeah.
Where have you been?
He's got
We know
it. He's
where
got it.
Gilbert's been.
Never mind. Anyway, Paul and I met in 1973,
That's correct.
A year of turmoil.
the year of turmoil. And you brought Dave Thomas into Catch. to
3
see
or
me.
4. That's right.
Right.
73, 74. I was subletting Gilda Radner's apartment, and she was about to start in a show that you eventually ended up in, but you were in the original
The
company.
Lampoon Show.
You replaced Harold Ramis in the Lampoon
Oliver
Show.
Sholem, right.
Belushi, Oliver Sholem was in it.
Bill Murray.
Bill and his brother Brian Doyle Murray.
Yes.
Gilda, the only girl. You went in as the improv. There was an improv spot where you took questions as a Maharishi.
No, as Carlos Castaneda.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Constant.
Brilliant every night.
And
Anyway, there was a party where they were trying out some of the stuff for each other. I was there just because I was living there. You were there, and you said, I got to go and do a set. I'll be right back. And I'm just new in New York, I just moved to town. And I say, I know a comic who leaves a party, goes to do a set at a club, a swinging hip club, then comes back, rejoins the party, which he did. So that was the night we met. Yeah.
That was your christening.
That was the night, yeah.
Is that your wife's shirt, or you just? Is that your wife's shirt?
It's my wife's pants. It's my wife's Spanx, actually. If I want to be telling the incomplete
It's a
truth.
lovely shirt, Tom.
You don't really know a woman until you've walked around in her Spanx.
They,
You know what I
they
mean?
look like those Mary Tyler Moore.
All right.
The capri pants.
Yeah.
They're just,
The ones that Rob Reiner grabbed onto.
that was my high school drama coach was Mr. Capri Pants.
Really?
And he'd say, bring it down to half and freeze it. And I think he was talking about the show.
Or about lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so how did you meet the Bells, Tom? We know how Gilbert
Prison?
involved.
No. Chris Guest said, Chris Guest I've known Chris since we were teenagers, and it's about the same time you
Right,
met him.
74.
He says, you got to meet this guy, Richard Belzer. He's hilarious. And, that sounded good. So, and then he brought me over to see you and
At Catch.
introduced people. Funniest thing ever.
Oh, I was on
screaming.
Catch.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
where we
remember-
met. Yeah.
Yeah, but
The year was 1941.
Yes. A date. But I
Kay
remember
Kaiser was number
when
one on
I
the box.
First met you, you just started doing an impression of me that you just saw. It was like you were doing me, and I was so flattered.
Oh, wow.
Because Chris said, you got to meet Tom Leopold.
Oh.
He's the funniest guy. And then he said, to you, I was the funniest guy. And then we arm wrestled, and it was a tie. Yeah.
You had a hook, a comedic hook at that time, that you let it go. Well, it was replaced replaced by.
What was my hook?
But
The old
you
hook.
were saying, well, you didn't want to do it every night.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know.
Gilbert does the greatest impression of me.
Yeah. So hey, why don't you go outside and practice falling down for a while? Okay. Yeah. It's great. Right.
It's like a little parody bird.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, sure. Belzer had a parakeet.
Yeah.
A
We were
parrot.
on Howard Stern in the 80s,
Yeah.
and I was listening to it the other day, and it was you and I were on together, and for 40 minutes you were just making fun of me, like, Reagan's gonna,
Yeah,
Reagan,
that's great,
Reagan.
babe.
Like
Yeah.
just busting everything
Yeah,
I ever
don't
said.
fucking
And I didn't think you ever
patronize me,
paid
okay?
attention. You're right. I never thought he paid attention to my act. Meanwhile, he's doing my. Oh, speaking of act, guess who I bumped into last night? 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Walking down the street.
Jackie Mason?
When his hair dyed orange.
No.
Oh, no.
Shuffling along.
Have you had
Mason,
Jackie Mason?
Have you had
How
Jackie
old
Mason?
is
we have not.
I don't know.
Oh, God.
80s.
Let's
gotta
look
be
it
in
up,
his
Frank.
80s.
How old is Jackie
find
Mason?
Like
Walking down where that restaurant we used to go to, Fiorillo's, and coming up the street, there's Jackie Mason.
he by himself?
Along. No, he's with this woman that's been with him. I guess it's his wife for like the last, 7,000
Common law
years.
wife, if you
now,
don't mind.
there was
Is it who? And he looked at
Born
me.
1931.
a
He was
couple
born
of
in
years
31.
ago.
So does that make him 80, 87?
87.
87.
Wow.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, my wife went up to him and said that she's married to Gilbert Gottfried, and he goes, I don't like that Gilbert Gottfried. He loused me. He loused me.
He
What
loused
did you
you?
do to him, Gil?
What does that
I think I was on the Stern
mean? You
show.
loused him?
And I think it was when
What
he
a
had said
word.
something that on TV that they thought was racist.
Yeah,
or
he
whatever.
said Schwarzer or something.
And I started doing like a really racist.
As him?
Yes. Jackie Mason.
Maybe that's what bothered him.
So he had.
Oh, you lost him.
You loused him. Just the
You
fact that he
loused Jackie
listens to
Mason,
Howard.
Gil.
Well, can you picture Jackie Mason listening to Howard? That's
Yeah.
an anomalous.
Yeah. it makes
I never had to
no
work like
sense.
that.
You lost me. Gilbert Gottfried, you lost me, you son of a bitch. I'll tell you another thing, you son. Here's John. I will
lost
tell you
me.
the story that John Biner told me. John Biner was on Ed Sullivan. The night that Jackie Mason got in trouble for giving the finger. Remember that whole
Yeah.
thing?
Sure.
Yeah.
What happened was the Bay City Rollers were the act, and they were like, the poor man's Beatles.
No. It was
Yeah.
way before the Bay City
No,
Rollers.
I'm telling you, Bay City Rollers are on Ed Sullivan, and the audience was yelling and screaming, and Jackie Mason comes out, and the audience is still kind of, waiting for the Bay City Rollers to come back, and he wasn't hitting with the
Right.
audience, and after about 4 minutes, they finally settled in and started laughing at him. Stage manager off stage goes, "You got 1 minute," and Mason is like, "You got a finger for me, I got a finger for you." He never went like this,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is a
No,
popular.
yeah.
He went like this. He went like this.
Yeah.
And
Big news. It was huge news.
Yeah. So after the show, Biner goes by Sullivan's dressing room office to hear, because he heard Jackie Mason was called into the office, right? And he hears, "You motherfucker, you little shit. How dare you make that gesture on my show? I've got nuns and Cub Scouts watching this show, you cocksucker. How dare you little prick. But Ed, don't butt Ed me, you little Jew motherfucker." And I didn't say that.
That impression's as
And
good as
Biner
Biner's.
was listening at the door
That's right.
and heard him say, "You motherfucker.
Oh, boy.
You little shit."
So he was lousing him then. in other
He
words.
was lousing.
Did he ever get invited back, Mason?
Yeah.
Did he ever
Well,
get
the
back into
big
good
myth
graces?
is he did come back.
He
on
did.
it.
But not for
People
a long
don't
time.
remember that.
Yeah.
He had to get beaten up by Frank Sinatra's guys first.
Cute
Before
story.
he was allowed back
You know
to the
that story? May I?
Let's hear it.
Please tell
May I
don't-
tell
we
the
don't
story?
have to-
I can always hear it again.
Yes.
Do we have to cut away? Sell
Do we have to cut
something
away and
first?
sell something?
The
We're all
what?
right?
Do we have to
We
cut
know
away
to
and
cut
sell
away,
something?
right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Are we okay?
Hold that
Okay.
thought. We'll be right back.
No, we're okay.
Cute story.
Cute.
Jackie Mason is on stage at the in a big
Miami.
hotel in Miami, and Frank comes in a little late with Mia Farrow to see Jackie, and they come in. Of course, everybody sees it's Frank and Mia, and Jackie Mason. It's Frank Sinatra and Mia Farrow. You know, she takes off her roller skates. He takes off his toupee, and he starts making fun of them, but just ridiculous. You know, she's doing her homework, and he wants to, in just joke
bet it was
after
funny.
joke, just
bet
the
it was
Ballsy.
worst jokes you can. I mean, funny, but you
Yeah,
know.
but man, please.
Okay, a day or two later, Jackie Mason's sitting in his car, or a car, and a guy comes over to the door and knocks on the window. Mason opens it up, and this guy punched him in the face, and he had his hand wrapped in brass knuckles. Broke like 50 bones in Jackie Mason's face. One punch, because he said she takes off her roller skates. He takes off his wig.
Wow. He's
What
lucky
possessed
he
him?
got off with that.
Yeah, but this is the business we have chosen.
Yes.
We thought
Great
about
story,
having
Belzer.
Mason in here, but we're afraid. I think Gilbert and I are afraid of him.
Yeah.
Jackie?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well,
you might
loused
need
him.
security up here.
You loused him.
Because I loused him.
That's right. You lost him.
I
You
can't
have him.
invite
But how
him
many
here.
years ago did she ask him about it?
Oh, God.
So maybe he forgot.
Or he might have forgotten, Gil.
So re-invite him.
I
He forgot.
All right, now she's angry. 10?
10
10?
15,
Oh, so
she
now
said.
you
15 years ago.
I'd like
he
it.
must have forgotten.
He
Gil.
totally
Yeah.
forgot.
I'd like to find
Yeah.
out how many bones were broken in his
Hey,
face. If that's my question.
Yeah.
And then I
look
heard
it up.
he described the punch, like he said, it was very professionally done.
Oh,
Yeah.
very professional.
Speaking of lousing, is Harry still mad at Gilbert, Paul?
Oh.
Harry Shearer?
Harry Shearer.
I can't speak for her.
He's
He's
can't
mad
speak
at
for him.
everyone.
I would never speak for
For Harry? Oh, God, no, you
anybody
can't do
about
that.
something as delicate as that.
Why would he be mad at Gilbert?
And
Why would he be mad at you?
Because
Gil?
Gilbert
Yeah,
wouldn't come down.
Because I remember Paul used to one time saying to me, Harry Shearer hates you.
Such a.
but that wasn't the
You're
first
such a
you heard
Dybbuk,
about
Paul.
it.
Well, I think it was I was like on when I was on Saturday Night Live, the cast introduced themselves.
Was he
Yeah.
on then when you were on?
No.
Oh, yeah,
I guess
yeah. I
he was
remember
You
there.
were
that. That's the
following
story.
him.
And we were all introducing ourselves, and Piscopo said, "Hi, I'm Joe Piscopo. I'm kind of the Dan Aykroyd. I'm Charlie Rocket. I'm kind of the Chevy Chase."
Right.
And I said, "I'm Gilbert Gottfried, and I'm kind of a mixture of John Belushi and that guy who used to do the imitations who nobody remembers."
You didn't say his name?
No,
Well,
how did
but
he know?
he knew.
Well, may I ask?
How did he know?
Okay,
you lost him,
you know, say, I have a question. I have a question. Did you write that
No,
about him?
No. I
Well,
didn't
what do you
even-
mean? No, who wrote it?
One of the writers.
A writer
on
the show. So
Yeah.
you were uttering really a written statement that had been written by
Doing your
someone else.
job.
Performing
I
as
think
an actor.
you should bring me and Harry back together the same
Like
way
the
Frank
telethon.
Sinatra.
I think it was about time.
Dean and Chip.
I think it's
I'd
about
say,
time.
Yeah. Harry, there's a gentleman here who loves what you do.
Loves what you do.
But how could he blame you? I'm sure he doesn't anymore. He
Saw
may
you
have had.
working.
You're painting
May have been a
Harry as
momentary-
a very bitter guy.
I know,
Paul.
but he has. Yeah,
Not fair.
Harry forgives and
Yes, he
and
does.
Yes,
and
he's a
embraces.
saint.
He
He's a
embraces.
saint.
And I'm sure there would be an embrace if I brought you guys together.
Can we broker this
But
piece?
because you
Yes.
did not write it. What if you
Yes.
had written? What would you have said about him?
I
Same
would have
thing.
gone on longer.
No, you don't say that when you see it.
Well, forget
I
the
would have
reunion. There would
named-
be no
No,
I
if
would
you're
have
reunion.
said Harry.
You got to
you
rehearse
just
if you're going to
would,
talk to
yeah.
Harry.
Now he may hear. He
And I would
loved
have
you
pulled
before.
a
He may
picture
hear
of
you
him
now.
on camera.
All right, he hates you.
The last time Rich was here on our podcast 2 years ago.
Who's
he-
Rich?
This Rich.
Oh.
Richard Belzer.
I do all right.
He told arguably one of the funniest stories on this show. Do you remember, Gilbert?
Yeah.
About Liza?
Oh my God! Yes.
Liza in Germany.
Oh. I think
I don't know this.
This is great.
her husband told me this. Mark, what's his name?
Mark Giro, the fine artist?
The fine sculptor.
Yeah.
So
I own a few of those, by the way.
many years ago.
You have a few Giros?
I have some Giros. When he was, the period when he was like in love.
Oh, well,
they first met.
Before he
That was-
realized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's colorful period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Liza's on tour in Europe, and she's got her band, and virtually every guy in the band's Jewish, and they're in Germany, and they're in the dressing room, and the guys in the band start having, one of the guys says, we're Jews and we're in Germany, like, how do you guys feel? They started talking about being a Jew in Germany, and they're going on, and all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door, and then someone says, "Is there Jews in there?" And it's Liza's road manager wanted to see if there's any orange juice in the van room.
No, really?
I swear to God, is there any juice in there? Any juice in there?
I've never heard that.
Fucking
That's
band.
fantastic.
Great.
That's fantastic.
And
True story.
on that same episode, you told Richard the Elie Wiesel story,
Oh,
which is
yes.
also great.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
All these guys.
This
So
is-
many funny stories about him.
But Ellie, yeah.
I was watching you talk about tasteless when people aren't trying to be tasteless.
Right.
So Elie Wiesel, who his whole family died in the
We know that part.
concentration
Yeah.
camps,
Yeah.
and his career is writing, remembering the camps. So he was on some talk show with this host who's got a big smile on his face the whole time. And he asked Elie Wiesel, he goes, if you could have any wish, what would it be? And Elie Wiesel says, with tears in his eyes, he goes, I wish people would stop just standing by. He goes, the Holocaust occurred because people stood by. Genocide goes on in this world because people stand by. And the host puts his hand on Elie Wiesel's knee and turns to the camera with a giant smile and goes, and we're going to ask you to stand by.
We're going to ask you.
Gee, that's beautiful.
Oh, and who were, like, when I was
how interested
3
he is in
years
me?
old,
And I'll get back to it.
and
what?
I met you at Catch, the people who are still playing there, like I remember Gabe Kaplan used to go on
Who
stage
stole
all
my
the
material,
time. And
He became
Brenner,
Brenner, yeah.
Jimmy Walker,
Pat Benatar
Pat
used,
Benatar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went on tour with her,
yeah.
and just to tie up the end of, I saw in the motel, on the motel television, the reunion when Frank brought Dean and Jerry together. I was on the road with Pat Benatar.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I guess we all
Enough
remember
said.
where we were when
Yeah,
that
enough
happened.
said.
Yeah, it's like JFK or the moon landing.
It reminds me, though, Gil and Frank, about how much Tom and I were dying to get involved with roasts,
Yes.
Friars-style roasts.
Yes.
There was a tribute going to happen to Belzer in connection with a cable show he had made,
yeah.
I think, and we heard it's going to be a roast. Well, Tom and I spent 4 or 5 days in my hotel room. I lived in a hotel at that, writing material for this.
This the town hall roast? And
No, this is
This is pre that.
different one.
Oh,
That was a
before
real
that
roast.
one. Oh, wow.
This
yeah.
one was going to be really a PR thing for his show,
84, I think.
but David Steinberg, who had directed it, this is not David Steinberg, the
My son
manager.
actually
Right.
did.
Yeah,
David Steinberg, the
It's
comic
84,
and
yeah,
director, was going to be roastmaster. Well, David Steinberg showed up and took a look at the room and said, well, there's no dais. It's not set up for a roast. There's no mic really
There's no days like the present.
there. So let's just call it a toast roast.
A toast.
Yeah.
And we'll
'Cause there
just
was a piano.
and we'll just toast him and stuff. Well, Tom and I had written this material, and we decided to do it anyway. Not even Belzer was interested in it.
Well, I had that model.
He had a 7-foot model.
Yes, that he was coaching.
So what? Yeah. Why would he be
He
interested?
was
in
mentoring
How to
her
dunk.
in the
Cosby
ass,
move.
but he was mentoring her.
Anyway, do you want to hear just a few bars? Tom and I could
yeah.
do it together.
Yeah.
Well, you do it with me.
If I can
You'll
remember.
remember it. Sing with me. First of all, he was into the Stones. You have to know that.
Wore shades all the
He loved, and everybody knew Pat Benatar's financial status because of Rick Newman's managerial style.
he was managing her. That's
Open
right.
managerial style. So it starts, please allow
Well,
me.
there was also the big hit song that was out then.
What was that?
With that
I wear
sunglasses.
my sunglasses
Sunglasses,
at
which he
night.
loved. I wear my sunglasses at night. It was so dark. Please allow me to... So it was kind of a parody of that musically. Please allow me to introduce to you a comedian's comedian. When we in the industry have a night off, we go to see him. And then quoting from People magazine, his cover story, he's conquered cancer, softened his approach. He's conquered cancer, softened his approach. Something about Lenny, but like
Yeah.
Lenny, but something needier,
Like Lenny, but needier.
Yeah.
Oliver Sholem. God bless
But he's strictly Belgique, was one of
Caesarean.
Marie Chevalier.
How do we get into Pat Benatar's
Yeah,
salary?
Belgique.
Well, it gets to
La
Rick
Belge.
Newman. Rick
Oh,
Newman
yes.
caught a rising star.
Yeah.
Rick Newman caught a rising star. Not you, Bells. Pat Benatar. Boom,
Yes.
boom, boom, boom. Too liquid. Boom, boom. Too
invested.
invested. But you owe Harry $1,400.
And Harry was there,
story.
right?
Yeah.
Another whole story.
He wears his. How's the
Bells wears his sunglasses at night.
So he can.
So
can't.
he can't.
cannot. They said so he can. We said he can.
That
So
was
he can't.
24 years ago.
A time
No,
of
20.
turmoil.
Must have been longer than
In
that.
the 80s or the 90s?
No, 30,
80s.
34
Maybe.
years.
83,
In the 80s,
84.
yeah, the
84.
80s.
Wow.
84.
People were still yelling at their maids in those days.
I remember the town hall roast that you
That's
emceed.
so long ago.
Town Hall
That's
How
roast
long ago?
That
was a
that
real
was-
roast that I got to
Oh, that was a good one.
officiate at,
Roastmaster.
That
and
was
Tom
fun.
wrote not only my material but many others.
I
that
remember you
Yes.
telling a joke that Alan King had a third-degree burn on his hand from jerking off Topo Gigio. That
wasn't mine.
That was a joke that stayed with me.
You must have written that.
You had it right.
Tom.
No, maybe it sounds like the guy.
Rich Vos.
Yeah, Richard
We had that
Voss.
guy on there.
Wasn't
Voss.
that the night of the famous Odetta joke?
Yes, it was. Yeah, Paul tells that story
Last time
very
I
well.
was-
And I
Town Hall,
remember at
went
the
down to
Chevy roast, you sang,
Which one?
"We couldn't get
Anybody
anybody
good."
good."
Let's hear a few bars of that.
Well, that again, that's Tom, a beautiful Tom.
You sing it 'cause I can't
Leopold
remember.
lyric with Matt Roberts and a writer involved
Very
as
good
well.
writer.
Good writer, Matt.
We, tonight is Chevy's big night. We called his friends to invite them all to roast him and join us. But nobody would. Does he? And then two chorus girls say, does he have a career? I thought he died last year. We couldn't get anybody good.
Please welcome our roast master, Paul Schaefer.
Tonight is Chevy's big night. We called his friends to invite them all to join us at roast him, but none of them would.
Does he have a career? I thought he died last year.
We couldn't get anybody good. It's a whole show of no shows, no glamour or glitz. Say the name Chevy Chase, and no one gives two shits.
Sit on the days for taste.
I wouldn't sit on his face. That's why we couldn't get anybody good. But hey, I know what you're thinking. Who's Schaefer to top? This guy got his job sucking Letterman's. He's a lucky piano player, a musical hack. Yeah, well, you, all of you. At least I'm earning a check. I'm serious. You can all go
No, baby,
yourselves.
no.
You can kiss my shade, all that. I got more money than everybody in this. What?
Take this.
Oh.
Here, drink this. You'll feel better. Just a little bit. Relax. That's don't even have tits. Very good. Yes.
Sorry. The man's career is a disgrace. No one here knows Chevy Chase, and there's no reason that anyone should. But since you've rented your tux, just accept this roast sucks, and that we couldn't get anybody. We asked Will Ferrell, we couldn't get anybody. We scraped the barrel. Ah, we couldn't get anybody good. He's Chevy Chase, and you're not. Chevy, tonight, I'm sorry, man. It's over.
That's basically it, except it went into a very sad Sinatra section in the middle where I threw a trench coat over my shoulder and sang, seriously, how sad the day is.
How sad the day is.
You call this a show, do. How can you roast a man where no one will go? Sit on the dais.
How sad the day is.
How sad.
I know. We had a lot of fun.
Oh, boy.
And I remember, for the big ending when you were singing, we
have girls?
We couldn't find anyone good.
Right.
You sang, "We tried Will Ferrell."
Oh, wow, I forgot. Yeah.
It was before he became huge.
Yes.
We scraped the barrel. Ba, 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 ba. We didn't get
Gilbert, were
any
you on
fun.
that roast, the Chevy roast?
I was there.
They didn't have
I didn't think
I don't remember
went
if you
on.
got up.
Strange.
I don't remember if
It was a very, very peculiar night.
Well, Chevy would have been here
But he had.
Summer
today.
cramps.
We had to pull out last minute. We were
Why
hoping
don't
to
we
bring him
call
here
him?
as
Should we call him and-
a surprise.
call
Okay.
Oh, that
Well,
would
we've
be
gotten in
good.
Let's
trouble
call him.
calling him on the
Oh,
air.
that's true.
Oh, yeah, you did that
Yeah,
once.
let's
already.
I
just
did
not-
that one.
I did
Okay.
love the Belzer joke about Freddie Roman. I think that was my favorite roast joke in a long time.
Freddie Roman, yeah. Jack Ruby had a longer television career than Freddie.
Ladies and gentlemen. Well, I want to cite a joke that I spoke of Freddie Roman. This one written by a gentleman whose name it doesn't come to mind, Larry Ambrose.
Larry Ambrose.
Larry Ambrose.
Who said, we first heard of Freddie Roman when he and Icarus flew too close to the sun.
I did another joke about him. I said, I don't want to say Freddie Zillow, but he used to be known as Freddie the Roman.
The Roman.
Yes.
Yeah.
You also
The
said,
Roman.
what would a roast be without Freddie Roman?
Yes,
I tell you
funny.
one thing, televised.
Oh, televised.
That's very bad.
Televised.
There's your joke. I
That
think.
was the
Excellent.
Odetta night. Tom, do you have anything you want to say about George Maharis turning 90? Because that would make
Well,
that
yeah.
kidding?
I wanted to ask he's going to be 90 in, September.
Beautiful.
So he's got a few months to kind of still be a kid.
Yeah.
He's going to be 90, and I just thought I'd go around the room and everybody just say what they feel about George Maharis turning 90. Gil?
First, let's tell the story.
Oh, it's such a long story.
Which one?
Harris. He was like a heartthrob.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
older
that story, not our story.
Yeah, like
Boy,
Route
boy,
66.
crazy boy. Yeah.
Oh, he was
West Side
huge.
Story.
Yeah.
And a song, recording star, everything.
So all the women were crazy about
of
it.
course.
George
And
Shakiris. was
then tragedy struck.
Well, it struck in a men's room on Route 12 when George was standing in a bag.
Two different people.
Next to
Perfecto.
Talking about George Maharis?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from
Or
66.
George Shakiris?
No,
No,
not
not
No.
George Shakiris.
George
Maharis.
and-
Okay.
No, that's a whole other.
Who was
I was thinking
standing
Roots-
in the bag.
Route 66.
Well, that's the great unknown question.
So what will you say? What happened to George Maharis?
See, this is the alcoholics.
Imponderable.
I said, who was in the bag?
Yeah. No, in this case, there was somebody actually in a bag.
Because among gay guys going into the men's room stall, they'll sometimes bring a bag with them.
Big shopping bag.
Where one of them stands
In the bag.
inside the bag, so you don't know there are two guys
Yeah,
there.
and the guy can
And
pleasure
you
him.
just
my
think it's a
God,
guy
I never
who's
heard
gone
that.
shopping.
Yeah, it's just a guy who likes to
from
shop.
From
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, not a big
Yeah.
crazy
Oh,
guy.
oh.
Tom is an
I
expert
never,
on these.
And-
No.
never
yes.
heard that.
Tom's
So-
been talking about this for
Oh, it's
30
called
years.
it's called a tea room.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that I knew.
George Maharis
A
was
shopping bag. We're
No,
shopping
this-
one
Yeah.
day.
was having assignation.
So the thing is, to be fair, he was
allegedly or-
actually shopping that day.
That day.
But that has nothing to do with it.
Coincidentally.
That's just a
Allegedly
that's just a
or-
happy
Talk about
accident.
A lucky
All right.
coincidence.
Yeah, it's a happy accident.
So tell the story, Gil.
And he was having some romantic interludes with Perfecto Teles was
Okay.
the guy's name.
Yeah.
And
Hairdresser
Perfecto
from Los
Teles.
Angeles.
Yeah.
Perfecto
That's how they
Teles.
describe him. A
Is he
hairdresser
with-
from
is-
Los Angeles.
Is he with us? Is still
I
Perfecto?
don't know.
We
I
don't
did some
know.
research.
No,
We
I
have
believe
people
I
who-
can
Where was
answer.
this?
He's
In
not.
the-
Perfecto is
He was
dead.
having
You know that?
Yes, it's on the internet. Perfecto died.
There's two Perfecto Teles
Oh,
on the
wow,
internet.
now you're
There
telling
is. There's an old one.
There's a
who
guy that was
dead.
born in the 1800s.
There was
It
a
the
guy.
old one, man.
There was a guy who stood in the
Maybe
bag
the
in
old-
1808. There was a guy who liked to be in the bag. It was a burlap bag in those days, and it wasn't really
It was a
men's
burlap.
room. It was more like where the horses were
Yeah,
put in.
an outhouse,
You know,
yeah.
it was a stable.
Burlap.
Yeah.
And then there was Perfecto Teles, the ventriloquist from the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yes. And
Yes.
Perfecto Teles.
That's who George Harris was banging?
No. You're thinking no. And you know what? So often people confuse.
You
George-
like candy? I like candy.
Yes.
Yes.
You're confusing
What's that
with-
in your mouth?
Yes.
George, te quieres.
No, that's
You want the
Senior
dick in
Wences.
your
Yeah,
mouth?
Senior
I want the
Wences.
dick in
Senior
my mouth.
Wences.
Is it in your
Senior
mouth?
Wences.
Yeah.
What do you think? Then the box has to say.
Because this is a show for the kids.
Yeah.
That's why we want
a show for
Let's
the
get into
kids.
some heavy Senior Wences material now to stay contemporary.
he was 100.
Yeah.
He died at
all right,
he was
it's all right.
102.
Yeah, 102.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's all right.
102.
Yeah, but he could still play 101.
They changed that. They changed
You know,
the
he
name
took
of the
care of himself. He
54th
looked
Street
good.
by
Yeah.
54th Street by the Sullivan Theater to the Senior Wences Way, 54th
Yes?
Yes.
Broadway.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yes. Sir.
Yeah.
Paul, talk
Senior
about how
Wentz's way.
he went to Danny Aiello's club in Newark and the
Well,
young lady there in her act. Speaking of, you might find this
We
interesting.
have a sixth sense about things like that. We heard that Danny Aiello now had a club, a comedy club above an Italian restaurant in Hoboken.
We tried to call you guys, but you,
We were there, yes. And what are you going for? It was above an Italian restaurant.
no, the woman who bought from the estate.
You're going to have to tell us.
Well, correct me.
this
you-
woman was on the bill. He had a number of acts, right?
Yes,
and this
number
was the
of
opening
acts.
act.
This was great.
A woman, and she was a ventriloquist herself, and she
Yes.
had purchased
From the
act from the Senior Wences
Senior
estate.
Wences estate.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But she wasn't allowed. There was one she couldn't
Couldn't
put
do
her-
the finger thing.
She did the finger thing,
Oh,
which
she
was
couldn't do
weird
the
because
box.
the little face had long painted nails.
Right. No,
and
it's
the
not
face
as good.
that was weird.
But she couldn't do the box.
She couldn't do the box.
Why not?
Somebody else got the box.
Why not?
Why not?
It was a codicil in
She
Senor
couldn't do the
Wences'
box.
way.
That
I
they
don't know.
kept for
Like
themselves.
he's going to come from the grave
Yeah.
and do the box.
And all the children would lose their inheritance if they ever used the box.
The box.
There was a codicil in the will. But the thing about it was she starts to do this thing, and so she drops. So all she had was the little body of the hand guy. Right?
Yeah.
And the long nails curling around, so it looked like a big red octopus strangling the little face of the guy.
Strangling her own face.
Jimmy. You know, whatever the hell.
She bought. I'm just
Yeah,
getting,
and
can't
she
get
kept
over
dropping the entire. She had a whole big table, and she dropped the whole table over. And
Well, also on the bill,
Yes.
because one of them, I'm sure maybe for the last time, Alto and Mantilla.
oh yes,
You
Bells.
guys
The
all must
Untouchables.
remember them.
Doing the
Well, there
exact
was a
same
third
act.
guy.
all
They
their
were called the
props, with
Untouchables.
all their-
Right. Oh, there was two after the Untouchables.
Marvin
Buddy.
Braverman was the
That's
third
Very
guy.
good. Very
One
good.
of them always sang opera.
That was Marvin.
every-
no, that was
No,
Buddy.
that was
Every
Buddy.
sketch was devised so that Buddy Mantilla would get
Could
to sing
sing.
opera while the other guy was giving him
Yeah.
a haircut or something. So he could show off his
But
voice.
tell him what
They were
this-
ahead of
Well,
their
so
time.
these guys are there hanging out, and then Tom and I are sitting in our chairs, and Barbara Feldon was there for some reason.
Buddy's
I don't,
boy. That's Buddy's
no,
girlfriend.
it doesn't matter who she is.
But it's okay. They were
No,
been
no.
together for years.
Well, isn't it a secret? I thought it was a secret.
I thought it was a big secret.
You don't tell.
They've been together since the
No,
80s.
you don't tell.
Sorry.
You don't have to
Can't
tell
say
everything.
who Barbara Feldon was.
You can say who Barbara
Agent
Feldon was.
99. She was 99.
Yeah,
99.
She was on.
So,
she's
let's
been on
And
the
Alto and
podcast.
Mantilla are there,
Buddy was a
and
good friend of hers.
sitting down at our table, and I said, "Are you guys going to go on?" Well, we may do something, a little something. Look up on the stage; they've got huge props, like illusions. Not kidding, illusions. The door, yeah,
like
door
David
frame and a
Copperfield's
door and the thing,
Florida room.
and a
Like
big
they
and a
may get
Liberty Bell. We may do a few
Liberty
things. Then they go into their act. They're using hello. They do 20, 25 minutes.
It was like, it was like Schuster and Wayne and Schuster are, but not nowhere near as funny. But I mean, an act like that was so
They were
old-fashioned.
good, though. in the 70s.
Old-fashioned.
They were funny, but they were
Alto
very
Mentia?
old-fashioned.
They were very,
Exactly.
but now they
About
would
the-
be
the
now it would be
Untouchables. Like
a
perfect
throwback
timing
act.
for them. I
Very
think.
well rehearsed, though.
Yeah, well, they did
They
the
were
same thing
funny.
for
Don't you
25
think
years.
they were funny, Gilbert?
Yeah, but they were funny.
They were funny.
Yeah, they
The
were
Untouchables.
funny.
Oh, they were okay.
They were very funny.
They were very no. Sir, don't
Paul,
do
I
that to
believe
me.
we were
Oh,
talking
don't
about Buddy
patronize.
Mantilla
Nah,
just last
don't
week.
paint.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, they were.
Were you and I talking about it?
You and I
Hey,
were
you know,
talking about him.
I remember something about Richard. I think maybe you were going to a new analyst at the time.
I only had well, go ahead.
But every time for a slight time period
Yes.
there, I guess you were going to a psychiatrist or whatever, and this
Right.
is where you learned this lesson
What?
because you would get angry
Right.
in a situation, and you'd yell, and then you turn to the person who was there
Right.
in the room and go, I'm not angry at you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And it was
I
like,
remember it. I learned it.
I'm not angry at you.
Yeah, I learned that from the Bells. I
Yeah.
was at his feet. I learned it like a guru and a student. Wrote it down. I now say it
What a
myself.
memory.
Yeah.
No, after scaring the shit out of the person. No, I'm not angry.
I'm not angry at you. Yeah.
Did Jagger ever comment on
Yeah,
the impression,
well, he
Richard?
saw me at the bottom line.
These are answers. Just pinching my entertainment. center.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Jagger,
Mick saw me at the bottom line.
and of course you were famous for your Jagger.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
kind of.
Legendary.
And he was in the audience. I didn't know he was in the audience. So after my set, Alan Pepper, the owner of
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Bottom Line,
Yeah.
came back to my dressing room. He said, Mick Jagger is in the audience. Oh, shit. He said, no, he wants you to come to his table. So I went and I sat with him for the rest of the show. And he was, he said, Little Richard taught me all about the element of danger. That's where I learned all the leaping about the stage. And you remind me of the element of danger.
Well, how about that?
That's pretty
cool.
good compliment.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't get
Cool.
any better.
Yeah, but he was saying how he was copying to the fact that he was doing little Richard.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I thought was nice of him to
But not, yeah.
be immodest
Right.
like that.
Tell you, it was freaky
But
to
I was
see Little
very
Richard.
flattered. Very
Flattering.
flattered by that. Yeah.
I saw you do something at the Seaport at Caroline's, and you had a plant in the audience. You remember doing this?
Was it?
It was Alan Abel?
Yes.
Yes. The famous prankster.
Yeah.
And it was a great bit.
He pretended he was a doctor who was transplanting like animal parts.
Yes.
And it was just.
Yeah, he'd go on TV doing that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
He's around still.
But
We
I
like
did
having
clothes
him.
for
20
animals?
minutes with him one night, and the whole audience thought he was
Yeah.
the real guy. And you know who was in the audience that night? Danny Aiello, because Richie, was that real? Was that real?
Tell him about Danny Aiello when we came out of his
Alan
club.
Abel,
And how
yeah.
we
He's
had
still
to
around.
sit in this
Yes.
car and everything.
Well, that was a wonderful experience.
And then that huge truck came with a video on it of Danny
Well, this
Aiello's
is more,
music video.
meanwhile, back at his club in Hoboken, he said, I've been working with a rapper.
Danny Aiello.
Yeah, ladies and
I've-
Working with a
yeah.
rapper. Danny Aiello.
And, we've got a record coming out, an album, the two of us. I
street
sing,
is
he
very
raps,
excited.
And the next thing you know, he says, come out on the street, I want to show you something. And he has arranged for a truck which shows a video on a huge screen
food
on the
truck.
side for advertising. It drives around town. This truck has pulled up, and it's showing this video with the rapper. And who should be walking down the street out in Hoboken? The rapper himself, he's there. Live, happened to be there. Yeah, all these people converged. And it was
It was a God wink.
not a bad piece of material. But wasn't there?
Well, no, I was just because I guess that's it. I guess there really was no blow, but I wanted to see you die with it, not me.
Thank you.
That's a friend.
That's
I'm
cool.
going to be completely
No, that's
honest
a friend.
because that's
cool.
what this is about.
I want to hear.
That's
Yeah,
what this is all
I
about
want to
here.
hear about the story that when Aiello was working with Pacino. Wasn't it Diana Aiello had a big movie role?
Oh, no,
opposite Al
Paul
Pacino?
Newman.
What was so?
was he in with
Oh, he's in
Walking
Fort
Down-
Apache.
This rattled him a little or something.
Yeah, I'm walking down the street, my street, 77th, and I see Danny Aiello walking the other way, and it's one of those things where I know he saw me, but he pretended not to see me. Keep that in mind. So I keep walking towards him, and he's by this stoop.
This is a story your fans will love.
Yes.
This is pure Gilbert Gottfried podcast, isn't it?
So,
You don't even have to go on, and it's already a
That's enough
classic.
said. So he's standing by this stoop, and there's like, a cement post there, and he puts his head down and he's pounding on it, and like he's I'm supposed to believe he's by himself, right? And I go, Danny, oh, and he pretends like, oh,
Yeah.
Richie. And I said, what is this? You don't know what it's like starring with Paul Newman in a movie.
Oh my goodness!
What? What? You don't know, Richie. You don't know what it's like starring in a movie with Paul
What is he
Newman.
implying that the man doesn't know how to work?
I don't know what it's implying.
Whatever. It's his process.
Just,
Whatever his process.
I was like, even then I was flabbergasted.
That reminds me
One
of
more for your fans.
Oh, go ahead.
Another Danny Aiello story. I'm
please.
sure you're going to cut all this out.
He's been on this show.
Oh, he has.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
one day, I'm at Cafe Central
Okay.
with, I forget, Oblio. And we're sitting there, and Danny Aiello walks in, and these guys that I was sitting with say to Danny, and he comes over, hi, everything. And the guy goes, Danny, I've never seen you so heavy. So Danny says, yeah, I've never been this happy in my life. He didn't hear the word heavy.
No.
Yeah, I'm very happy. No, Danny, it looks like you put on weight. Oh, I'm so happy. He just refused.
He refused to admit
for like
that he was
5
heavy.
minutes, though. He kept saying, and the guy kept saying. And,
Yeah, but if he doesn't pretend not to hear it, he isn't fat.
And twice I've heard people refer to Danny Aiello as Danny Aiego.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah. He was one of our funnier guests.
He was
I have
He
to
can
say,
be very
brought it.
charming.
We have
He
an
brought it.
interesting story
he can
about
be
that.
very charming.
Danny Aiego.
We had a wonderful evening in the theater. Well,
Oh, where
I mean,
he
You're
tell
talking
the
about
story.
when we were. Well, I think we were privy to a.
we were privy to a wonderful
backstage,
backstage
Danny
rehearsal.
working out a play that he was working on. It seems to have disappeared. I don't want to give it away, though.
Oh no, yes,
But he
of
was
course.
in rehearsal clothes. He was in rehearsal clothes, sweats, towel around his neck, and he had a pianist, and he was just working it out, working
Yes.
out the songs.
A wonderful.
That's all.
I don't think it's
rented a studio, right?
Yes.
Yes, I went
and
to
we were invited.
Carnegie
to come.
Hall, by the way. Seriously, one
Yeah,
of the
I
little
They
have
have some
all those
studios
rooms there.
behind. I don't know. You're going to give away. What if he sells it and you give away the key elements of the
someone
thing?
beats him to this story.
Yeah.
To this
All
musical.
right,
Off the air.
Huh?
It's a musical. Go ahead.
Well, I
you
mean,
tell it.
they'll probably have suspected by now that it's a show about Al Capone.
Right.
Musical about Al
Music
Capone.
about Al Capone. And the act break, this show-stopping number at the end of the first act.
Right.
Syphilis. I've got syphilis. I swear.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm
And it's only me.
syphilis.
Syphilis.
I can't piss.
I can't piss. That's one of the lyrics. And he's doing it about 6 inches from Paul's face. And he's got his hands on Paul's knees. And it's just me and him, the piano player, and Jerry Foley, who invited us from the director of the Letterman show.
Sure.
And it was had an hour and a half of
90 minutes.
we didn't have to try not to laugh because it was so scary. Like if we had laughed, Danny might have killed us or something. I really felt
Listen, it
physically
was an honor.
threatened by
It was an honor to be there.
It was a great honor to be there. is
I
what I'm
said,
trying
no
to
way,
say.
we're not. What did you do to Jackie Mason again?
I didn't mean to louse Danny.
Yeah, we're not
You-
lousing him by any
No,
means.
I hope not.
Motherfucker. You
Wow.
little prick.
Can I do my little thing that the young people seem to love? That,
Please.
what are you laughing at? How dare you?
Gallagher too.
Well, I could talk about Gallagher too. Have I ever talked about Gallagher too? I'm just
Gallagher
gonna.
2 is fascinating.
Did you see the documentary about Gallagher and Gallagher too?
No, we have to see it.
I could tell you
I
a little
must
bit
see
about it.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hooked already.
I was just going to do the certain. Good thing Ed Sullivan doesn't have a show now because there's certain stars with names that would. He had trouble with his neck, Ed Sullivan. So if he had to say the names of some of the current stars, like, ladies and gentlemen, right now, Shakira.
Hurt his neck. Yeah.
With these modern names.
With
Yeah.
these names.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I wish the podcast were visual.
yeah. Have we started recording?
Would have played better.
Have we started
Yeah,
recording?
you're on.
We are
No,
recording.
you're on.
Soon.
Oh, wait, what was the thing about?
Well, Gallagher.
Gallagher.
too.
One night about 2 a.m, I just had terrible insomnia. You guys have probably read about it. Yeah. And I'm up and I turn on one of those things, one of those documentaries on like. It was about Gallagher. It was someone on this channel. They'd always have those things. One week it'd be Chris Farley.
True Hollywood Story.
True Hollywood Story, exactly.
Right. For those of you who don't know, Gallagher was.
Oh, well, Gallagher
is
a fine comedian where he would hit.
It's a prop comic.
From San
and
Francisco.
the first couple of rows of the audience had to have a big tarp over it because he would, which is very much like Liza's audience. But he would hit a watermelon with a sledgehammer. That was that was his finish.
That was his big close.
Right.
Smashing the
Why
watermelon.
didn't we think of that?
Go ahead. And he'd take the winner off because he couldn't get any watermelons. No. But,
so what happened? Go ahead.
So I'm watching it.
2 a.m.
They do those. So I'm thinking, I'm totally being sucked in by Gallagher and how he started and how he kind of built himself from nothing and put together.
He had a twin brother.
That's what I'm getting.
That's where he's going. Yeah.
Then it's all kind of nice, and about halfway through the documentary, and he starts to get bigger and bigger clubs. And halfway through the documentary, they go at the end of just before the commercial, they go, and then Gallagher had a stroke. And that was they go out, right?
Oh. It's the teaser.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
And I can't go to bed now.
No,
Gallagher's had a stroke. Yeah. Nobody's getting me into that bedroom.
Okay.
Wild animals.
Listen,
so it comes back.
Terrific cliffhanger.
Oh, talk about a
right.
cliffhanger. And so it comes back, and it turns out Gallagher had a stroke during, hitting one of the watermelons. An extra hard watermelon.
Actually wielding the sledgehammer.
Yes, he actually did, wielding the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
He had the stroke
On stage, yeah.
Talk about comedy, God.
Yes, sir.
But talk about being covered as part of your coverage.
Yeah, you're going to get
work
workman's
injury.
comp.
It was a work
Workman's comp, for sure.
Yes.
Totally.
So anyway, while he
stroke.
has the stroke, unbeknownst to Gallagher, his brother, whatever his real name was touring the country without Gallagher's knowing it, who looked exactly like him, the same bald hair, the same kind of stringy bald hair, looked exactly like as Gallagher too.
But the audience didn't know.
But it was like
Roma-Noma.
that kind of too. And Gallagher didn't know, and so Gallagher started, but he passed himself off as Gallagher.
Yeah.
And he started getting calls from venues saying, hey man, your brother's doing your entire act, and that didn't help the stroke. I think he got the stroke after that, actually.
You're right.
And
it's better if it happened while smashing a watermelon.
It is.
He did, but it was after.
It was after, unfortunately, Gilbert.
Yeah.
No, but still while smashing.
Still good, though.
Yeah.
He still had the stroke, and that's the important
So go
thing.
ahead, Tom.
Yeah. So then he finds out his brother's doing his act, and he gets an injunction against his brother, Gallagher 2. Gallagher 1 gets an injunction against Gallagher 2, the brother. And the thing that gave him the stroke was Gallagher and Gallagher 2's parents sided with Gallagher 2. And I think there's a moral in that.
Yeah,
And then I think there was
Sure what it is.
It's biblical.
It is a
Cain and
Cain and
Abel.
Abel guy.
Yeah.
It's a Cain and Abel Gallagher 2.
It's a Cain and
It's a Cain
And
and
I
Abel
think
too.
there was a big legal thing there.
Huge.
Yeah.
An agreement that they came to
Okay.
that Gallagher 2 would have to be called Gallagher 2.
But he was.
So it wouldn't be
That's like
Gallagher.
a
Right. He was
And-
passing himself off as Gallagher.
And that he wouldn't be allowed to smash the watermelons.
Same thing
So
as the
Gallagher
Senior
is
Wences.
new.
It's the exact same thing as the Senior
wouldn't
Wences. They
give
couldn't
away
get the
the
box.
box.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
it's
Gallagher
It's the Senior
2
Wences clause.
Yeah.
went out.
Good old Senior Wences
Wences
clause.
clause.
In the Christmas feast.
He ignored that
You're
and
quickly
went
on it.
out as Gallagher.
Did it anyway.
And people, even, the people booking him knew he wasn't Gallagher. But they said,
It passed him
hey,
on.
Gallagher costs so much more money.
Yeah.
And
still
we
the
could
same
get it
act.
for so much cheaper. And
That's
he
funny.
he smashed watermelon.
Anyway.
He did. Oh, my God.
He did the watermelon. He ignored.
He ignored it. He had to. He had to do the watermelon. How could he do it and not do
Still
the
around.
watermelon?
He's still around.
Still working?
Gallagher too?
Yeah. I don't know about Gallagher, too. Gallagher's still out there.
But how
I think he
about
did
your
Mark
folks?
Maron's
How
part.
about, first of all,
Yeah, his parents
Yes,
were
they were
on the
side with
brother's
Gallagher,
side.
too.
Yeah, that hurts.
Very
That's gotta hurt.
horrible.
Well, Gallagher must be such a low.
and the same thing
ELO, They
happened.
toured without Jeff Lynne. They had to call themselves ELO, too. Do you remember
I
that?
see.
Yeah.
Well, look at Styx. I mean, let's not
Something
even.
like that. I got a wild card question for the
Yeah.
Bells. Richard, did you audition to play Groucho in a Broadway musical?
Yes.
It was My Fair Lady, unfortunately. But
My mistake. My mistake.
Did you know
I
that,
did.
Gil?
no, I never heard that.
And
No,
you
I
learned
didn't
2
get it.
songs? You taught yourself two?
I sang 2 songs. They said I held the sides very well, but what
held
was
the sides
what was
very
the- That's what. It's just,
Day in Hollywood, Night in the Ukraine?
that's right.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it. But I sang for like one of the first times.
What did you sing?
Tonight you're mine completely.
Paul? See, we had a
Sound
keyboard
pretty
here.
good
Paul
at
could
that.
play it.
You give your love.
As Groucho.
No, they wanted to hear
Oh,
my
they wanted you to
voice.
do a song.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
they knew I could do Groucho.
I mean, come on.
But
So
wow.
George Chakiris.
That's going back.
Good trivia.
Yeah.
I once auditioned, and this was something, buddy, getting back to the Untouchables,
Yes.
said that Gabe Kaplan is going to be playing Groucho.
Oh, yeah, I
and
remember
it'll
that. Yeah, sure.
definitely move to Broadway. It'll definitely be a major hit, and it'll definitely be a TV special.
Ultimately, that's the goal.
Yeah, of
So he
course.
goes, you should fly yourself out, and I actually did.
Right. In those days, we didn't know any better.
And I auditioned as Chico to his Groucho.
Oh,
This is great. Never told me this.
And I remember I said to him, why doesn't he just get Robert Hedges? Because Robert Hedges was just doing Chico in that. He was
Welcome
always
Back,
like,
Cotter.
yeah, hey, Mr. Carter.
Oh, right. That's
right.
Right.
And he laughed at me like, what a stupid thing that was to say. And then the thing, they announce it's on a stage show, and as Chico, Robert Hedges.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah,
Yes.
So you got him a job.
yeah.
How about that?
That was
Yeah,
good.
pretty good.
That's one of the rare times I've heard you be magnanimous.
And
It's the worst one of the rare times I've heard you be interesting.
I love when they were doing the in memoriam at
who?
the
Gabe
Emmys.
Kaplan's career?
At the Emmys, they
Yeah.
were doing the in memoriam, and they had in one clip, like they saved time, in one clip from Welcome Back, Kotter, Robert Hedges and Horshack.
They're both dead?
Yeah, they
Both of them
both
are
died
gone,
that
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So they saved
I worked with
time and
Horshack.
had
They
them
died a
both
few months
in
apart.
one
together.
year.
Oh, they put them together.
Yes.
It was a suicide pact.
Wow.
They saved a little
What
time.
an insult.
Yeah.
And the memorial package.
They died a few months apart.
Do you know that I once auditioned for Vivian Vance?
You did.
Yes, I did.
Do tell. I know
Yes.
you auditioned to be Fonzie.
I did. I was in the final callbacks to be Fonzie.
Wow.
You and Mickey Dolenz.
Well, he wasn't there when I was there.
You could have been
All right, here's the. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I couldn't do the A.
the
right.
guy.
That's fine.
No, but Henry was great.
Can you
Henry
do some
Winkler.
Fonzie for us?
Well, I know.
story.
I prepared, but once I leave a character, Gil, I don't look back.
Hey, Gilbert.
I do take it home with me,
Yeah.
but I also take the wardrobe home with me. So it's,
I see.
Richard has a story.
All right,
Can
go
I just
for
say
it.
one thing before you do your story?
Please.
Go, it's a
Is
short one.
is it hot in here for
Yeah,
anybody
It's
else?
always hot
We're
in here.
almost done.
Because I see a fireman's going to break this glass to
not
save
just
the
you.
dog.
It's not just you,
Like
but it
the
is.
dog's in the car.
We'll wrap in about 10
Gilbert,
minutes.
do you remember when you auditioned for the Aflac commercial?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? Do you know who went ahead of you?
Who? Wow.
You went in before Gilbert
Before
to audition for the
Gilbert.
Affleck.
And I was doing Aflac.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing this weird.
And then I think
And you got it.
I think
That's news.
Soupy Sales
No.
auditioned for it.
Milton Hines.
Yeah, Milton Hines.
Mimi Hines.
Then that's his real name.
Hines and Hines.
Milton
No,
Hines.
but
I Super
you
Sales?
came in after me.
Yeah.
I was mistaken
and
for Super
I
Sales
remember-
today
No way. You were not.
about?
by a cab driver. Hey, are you Super Sales?
No.
Yeah.
To you?
I think he died. I said.
For the cab driver?
Yeah, I said.
No,
to the cab-
Soupy died.
And I
And
remember
did he tear up a little bit when
We
you
lost
told him?
Soupy.
I was
lost
a kind of regular on one show you were doing. Was it on Showtime or something?
Me?
Where
What?
you were playing yourself. Of
Cinemax,
course.
you were on that show. That's
Yeah,
just-
Cinemax.
Well, you were on it. You were the
yeah,
bartender.
yeah, I was the bartender.
Oh, I was in that too.
And David Steinberg used to direct that.
That's right. 1985.
That's right.
You were great. You did your act. You were the bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called. I don't know where you can get it these days.
Tom, you were involved.
Oh, that's
in
right.
it?
You're right. I've seen that.
Played my manager.
What was the name of it?
I played
The
Belzer's
Richard
manager.
Belzer
And I
show.
wrote
Richard
it.
Belzer show.
Larry
Tom
Charles.
was my manager.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Were you on that show?
No, I hung out.
Or you weren't contracted?
Billy
It was
Crystal
a
was on.
catch. You know.
Paul was too big even then.
He was very
And
big.
and one
Yeah.
time I remember they had me. The plot was that I was masquerading as Mick Jagger.
Yeah. Yeah, like a hat on next to this. Yeah,
It was 6 shows and we were already out of stories.
already out of stories. Hey, there's Mick Jagger.
What about Viva Shave Vegas?
Oh, boy.
Can anybody get
What year
their
was
hands
that?
on that? There's a VHS.
Yes, it is. It
What
is
year?
out again. It was something that Tom and I and Harry
It's wonderful.
made in '86 or something.
Tom forced me to watch it in his basement.
Well, I hope it was worthwhile.
It was.
That's where it was shot.
It's a conceptual thing that the three of us made for Cinemax back in the '80s. Now that I played Las Vegas over Christmas, New Year's, the lounge at Caesars, and in honor of that, I had a merch table and I had some T-shirts made, and I had some DVDs printed up. So it's back. You can now get Viva Shave Vegas. You have to go to. I have a website
Well, you get it on the website?
for all the merchandise that
great.
didn't
Fantastic.
sell.
Great.
So you can get all those
And Gene
leftovers.
Pitney's in it.
Oh,
That's
Gene
right.
Pitney sang the theme song.
And Bells, tell us about the Jerry book. When can we expect it? And
It's virtually done.
Mhm.
So hopefully by Christmas
Okay.
we'll have before Christmas it'll be out. Of course, the writing was interrupted, as you may suspect.
Yes.
But most of it's done. I'd say 90%.
And
of it.
how did you become friends with Jerry?
He, I interviewed him in Montreal at the Montreal Film Festival in 1985 or something, and we had a great time. And then he called me years later to say that he'd been watching me on television. He's proud of me, and he remembered the interview. It was like, anyway, so I immediately flew out to Vegas, and then a week later I called Paul, and I said, what?
We can have dinner with Jerry if we just fly ourselves out to Vegas, which we did.
Seen the picture.
Yeah.
It's great.
There was one more guy there, Max Alexander.
Oh, Max
Oh, yes.
Alexander. Remember him?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
He passed on, didn't he? Max
Yeah, he
Alexander?
did.
Funny guy.
He did. Recently, in the last couple of years. But so since then, I started working with him on. He was going to do a musical, The Nutty Professor, and I worked on him for a while with that. And then somebody else took over, but we became very close, and we're so close. Too bad you don't have a camera. But I have his tattoo.
Right.
I showed you.
Yeah, you showed
Yeah,
us.
I have
The
Jerry
classic
tattoo.
caricature of Jerry. You know?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
showing
I
it
know.
right now for those of you at home.
Yes.
He's
Jerry
taking
in
off
a-
his jacket.
Jerry in
He's
a
showing
tux.
us a tattoo. You have a tattoo of Jerry Lewis.
Right, on my arm.
Realistic on your
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah.
Based on his logo from the D&G
The classic
show,
logo.
his caricature. But
Are you any cooler now you've taken off your jacket?
no, but
Okay.
I'm reminded of
You
Jerry.
can take
so-
your,
No,
beekeeper suit
We're
off.
almost done, right?
Yeah. Just wanted your last.
No, but he kind of
remembrances of
adopted
Jerry.
me, and when I was a little kid in school, they used to call me Jerry Lewis because I looked just like him, and I would do Jerry Lewis bits to keep my mother from hitting me. I told Jerry that. I said, "You saved me a lot of ass kickings."
Uh-huh.
So he's a big part of my life, and then to meet him and work with him is beyond. It's like when you guys met Anthony Newley. I imagine it was the same.
Exactly.
For Tom, it was B. Benaderet.
Now,
To me, it was Martin Milner, actually.
maybe you could close, Richard, with a Rodney Dangerfield. Well, everybody's got their favorite Rodney stories, but what he said, really,
gave me advice.
What's life?
Yeah, what's life? And he said, first of all, he's in his bathrobe in his dressing room with no underwear on. Just
I want to remember that when I want to stop myself from ejaculating.
Yeah, picture that.
Yeah.
Like now.
He said, what is life, Richard? You get high, you write a few jokes, you keep the goyim from chasing you,
That's it.
Keep
Profound.
the goyim from chasing you.
Yeah. That's
I understood the
That's
first
it,
two.
man,
No,
that's
but
it.
what's
Philosophy.
getting high and writing, I understood.
And to get a bathrobe with your balls.
yeah.
Guys, this was great.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful. I hope you
Lot
can
of
use.
fun.
I hope you can use some
It's
of it.
like
We'll
a
use some of it.
So, yeah.
Use about 10 minutes of it.
Gilbert is like a Dorothy Parker
It is.
type of character now, with a round table and wits, famous wits of the era,
Yes.
sit
Yes,
around and
it's his Benchley phase
tell marvelous
Right.
stories.
of his career.
So this has been Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal podcast with my co-host Frank Santopadre, and our guests this episode have been Richard Belzer,
6.
Paul
The Bells.
Schaefer,
Oh.
and Tom Leopold.
Hey-o.
Hey now.
So much for the writing.
Thank you, boys. Will you
A
come
lot
back?
of fun, you guys.
Yeah, when?
Time, just that we're in the
Tomorrow?
No.
I'm up early.
Thanks,
Okay.
gents.
Well, I'm a skinny Jew, one of the few from Minnesota. They had a quota